Hello, welcome. We're going to be discussing today chromatography. Uh, Chromatography is defined as graphy, which is the back end of the word, to write with, and then the front end of the word is defined as color. So the actual definition of chromatography means to write with color. Now there are many different types of chromatography. The one we're going to be discussing today is paper chromatography. There is gas chromatography, there's column chromatography, there's many different ways to do chromatography. For in the high school lab, paper chromatography is the primary one that we use. All pens contain a mixture of different pigments in a solution. The color of the pen puts on paper is created using different pigment molecules combined that will separate or run when placed in either a solvent of water, acetone, or alcohol. We'll be using both water and alcohol today. The characteristic color bands make it possible to distinguish which pen was used to write a note. In forensics, this can be used to determine which pen wrote a suicide note or a robbery note or a threatening letter. Along with handwriting analysis, this can be a powerful tool to acquit or convict someone in a court of law. Today we are going to test 4 pens with chromatography paper and 2 different solvents of water and alcohol. So what is actually happening when you see this? This is an example of what we're going to be discussing today. A beaker has the paper where 2 marks have been placed at the bottom of 2 different pens, and you need to know some key words here. The solvent is known as the mobile phase. The mobile phase meaning that as this paper chromatography absorbs the water, the solvent will hit the different colored pigments here and force the different colors up the chromatography paper. Those bandings of colors and the rate at which they come out is a way to distinguish which pen is which. Every manufacturer has their own formulation that causes the color on the pen to show up. So it is important to note the difference between the mobile phase solvent and the stationary phase, the paper. The pigments move at different rates across those pores in the paper. That is why they will spread out and show different bands of colors in a specific time frame. These can be compared with the unknown, the handwritten note, to determine which pen may have been used to write the note. So today we have our note, which basically says, let me focus a little bit better. I have a weapon, hand over the money now, no tricks. And then these 4 pens were found in evidence in the suspect's home. So between, again, the analysis of the handwriting and the chromatography, it can be determined what pen may have written this note. So first we're going to need to prepare each one of the pens, chromatography, in water. So here are my 4 pens, and here are my 4 chromatography sheets that have already been prepped in terms of folded down the middle and prepared for putting into a beaker of water. We're going to do the water one first and then the alcohol. Now, one of the things you have to remember with all of these, it needs to be that you have placed the dot, the colored dot, in the appropriate place on the chromatography paper before placing it into the beaker. So I'm going to mark each one with where I want to do that so that I have similar starting points for each of the pens. I'm going to do that by laying this out. I don't want to go too close to the edge because I need to leave some room for the liquid to start going up the column. So I'm going to try to mark each one of these and place each one of these different pens in different locations, as well as marking which pen is being used in each one. So the first one We're going to say dark blue, or pen number 1. This will be pen number 2. This one is, the name of the manufacturer on this one is Bic. So number 2 is going to be our Bic pen. Our next one is another Bic pen, slightly different blue color. And the last one is V7 by Pilot. Okay, so having marked each one of these, I'm going to go back down to my orange line, start with the V7 Pilot pen, put a strong dot in the center of that orange line, put that to the side, grab the next one, which is our other Bic pen, make an equally dark circle about the same size in the middle of the paper, and then we have another version of the same Bic pen or similar pen, but may not have the same colors in it. Don't know for sure. We'll find out in a moment. I'm going to assume that all of these are water soluble, but that might not be the case. And then we have our dark blue pen. Almost looks like a black. Now these four papers, will go into our water, our beaker, and we'll determine what's going to happen. I'll have to move to a separate camera so you can see what's going on as these go through their mobile phase. So I'm going to put this in here. And if you notice, the water is going to wick up pretty quickly. Be careful not to touch any of them to the edges of the beaker. And if you notice carefully, you focus in, you'll see the water is already running up the different columns. You can just see the line where the water is going upward. We're going to move to a side view in just a moment and hopefully start to see that the bands of colors are banding out as the water hits the colored pens, which they haven't quite yet. So we're going to stop for a moment and switch to a different camera angle.